So, for 4,000 years, humanity has basically been running on the exact same broken algorithm.
Right. It's really that old.
Yeah, an algorithm that was originally invented, well, if we look at the historical allegories in the text by a guy in a Technicolor dreamcoat, to essentially buy up all the land in Egypt.
Right, Joseph.
Exactly. And the source argues we have been stuck in this, this loop of scarcity and panic and hierarchical control ever since.
We really have.
But today, we are finally looking at the blueprint to rewrite that code. So, welcome to another deep dive.
Today, our mission is massive. We are going to finally complete the architectural map of human potential that our source material refers to as the Diamond A-Spire.
It's a huge concept.
It is. And if you've been with us as we explored the foundational models in these sources, we've looked at the base levels of society, right?
Yeah, human interaction, basic governance, standard economics.
Right. But today, we are taking you entirely out of that standard 3D survival mindset, which is honestly what's so fascinating here, just how the text synthesizes incredibly diverse fields to accomplish this leap.
It's not just sociology.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
We aren't just looking at dry socioeconomic theory. The author takes that, folds in human psychology, and then integrates the spiritual frameworks of Dr. Wayne Dyer.
Which is a wild pivot, but it works.
It really does. And then it culminates the entire structure in the scientific mysticism of Nikola Tesla.
Yeah.
It takes these seemingly completely disparate threads and weaves them into one cohesive geometric model.
And we should probably emphasize right up front, this isn't just abstract philosophy.
Definitely not.
It is presented as a literal blueprint, like for fundamentally changing how you interact with the world around you.
Yeah, a practical guide.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because before we can build this utopian penthouse, we really need to understand the basement we are escaping from.
Always a good place to start.
Right. So the sources call this foundational level the gray diamond. This is the base level human experience.
And it is dense.
It's heavy, and frankly, reading about it, it just sounds exhausting.
It is exhausting. It's where the vast majority of human history has been operating. The text characterizes this gray diamond as being trapped in a famine mindset.
Which brings us back to that allegory of Joseph in Egypt.
Exactly.
Right? The guy who interprets the Pharaoh's dreams. 7 years of plenty followed by 7 years of famine.
Yeah, but the text looks way past the Sunday school version of that story.
Right, it gets into the economics of it.
Exactly. It points out the brutal economic reality of what Joseph actually did.
Yeah.
Because in preparing for the famine, he didn't just passively store grain.
No, he weaponized it.
He really did.
Yeah.
He systematically traded that grain to effectively buy all the land, the livestock, and eventually the people themselves.
Wow.
Yeah, he consolidated all the wealth and power to the pharaoh, creating what the author argues is the very first systemic taxation and serfdom model.
So that's the algorithm we're still running.
Exactly. For 4 millennia, humanity has been running on this exact same algorithm. It's linear, it's based on separation, it feels completely random, and it is entirely driven by conflict, competition, and an artificial sense of scarcity.
And when that gray diamond operates in a regressive, fear-based state like that, the author says it generates what they call the negative 4 A's.
The 4 A's, right.
I want to explore these because they perfectly describe that restrictive existence where your energy just feels constantly drained.
Yeah, it's a very relatable feeling.
So let's look at the 4 points of this base diamond representing the 4 spheres of society. In this negative loop, the political sphere is completely dominated by the first A, which is anxiety.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, you can see why anxiety is the default political tool.
Because it's reactive.
Exactly. A population kept in a state of perpetual worry about the next threat, be it foreign, domestic, or economical. They're incredibly easy to control.
They just want safety.
Right. They will gladly surrender their autonomy to anyone promising security.
Which bleeds directly into the economic sphere. That becomes characterized by the second A, avoidance.
Avoidance, yeah.
Give me a real-world example of this. Like, what does economic avoidance actually look like for the average person?
Well, it looks like dodging responsibility on a systemic level. So it's corporations hiding wealth in offshore accounts to avoid taxes.
Right.
It's politicians kicking the can of national debt down the road to avoid the really hard work of equitable distribution.
And on a personal level.
On a personal level, it's hoarding resources because of that underlying anxiety we just talked about.
Yeah.
You avoid participating generously in the economy because you are just terrified of running out.
That makes total sense. And then that drops down to the physical environment, which becomes ruled by the third A, accusation.
Blame game.
Exactly. We see this constantly. Like the environment is failing because of those consumers over there.
Or the infrastructure is crumbling because of that political party.
Right. It is never a collective, shared responsibility. It is always an accusation hurled across the aisle.
Always. And this toxic triad, anxiety, avoidance, and accusation, inevitably results in the social milieu devolving into the final A.
Apathy.
Yeah, apathy.
The ultimate societal burnout. Because if politics is terrifying and economics is rigged and the physical world is just this endless blame game.
Why bother?
Right. Why bother? You just check out entirely.
And the overarching theme, holding this 4,000-year-old trap together, is a twisted, kind of weaponized version of accountability.
Yeah, let's clarify that. Because accountability usually sounds like a good thing.
Right, but the text makes a sharp point here. This isn't positive personal accountability where you take ownership of your actions.
Yeah.
This is the reality that society, you, the everyday taxpayer, the common citizen you, are forced to pay the bill for the anxiety and avoidance of the few at the top.
So the masses are basically held accountable for the failures of the elite.
Exactly.
Okay, so what does this all mean? Like, if I'm hearing this right, the gray diamond is essentially a toxic corporate culture.
That's a great way to put it.
Where everyone is pointing fingers, that accusation piece, and dodging work, which is avoidance. And we are trying to move toward the green diamond, which is more like a visionary startup where everyone is invested and shares the rewards.
That's a really helpful starting analogy. Because in that toxic corporate culture, you were drained simply by walking into the building.
You feel it in your bones.
Yeah, you are operating on a pure survival frequency. But the text proposes an evolutionary shift.
Okay.
As we move upward out of this gray diamond and eventually reach the green diamond, those negative A's are completely rewritten into the higher A's.
Let me see if I can deduce the logic here rather than just reading off the list.
Go for it.
Okay, so if we are trying to cure the toxic anxiety in our political sphere, the opposite of anxiety isn't necessarily just being calm, it's seeing things clearly. So, is the upgrade awareness?
Precisely. Awareness. Instead of reacting blindly in fear, you are observing the political and societal landscape with objective clarity.
You're not swept up in it.
Right. You understand the mechanisms at play without being constantly triggered by them.
Okay, so what about the avoidance in economics? If hoarding and hiding is the disease, the cure would be actively leaning into the future. Anticipation.
Yes, anticipation.
Okay.
Because you aren't hiding your resources from a terrifying future anymore. You are actively planning and preparing for it with positive intent.
You're investing.
Exactly. You are investing in your community and your own skills because you actually anticipate growth, not collapse.
Wow, okay. That brings us to the accusation in the physical environment, pointing fingers over a shrinking pie. The cure to that has to be the realization that the pie isn't shrinking, it's abundance.
Nailed it. You realize the environment has the capacity to sustain everyone if managed harmoniously rather than extractively.
And finally, that crushing social apathy, the burnout. I mean, if you cure the other three, you are no longer checked out. You become engaged. So adaptability.
Adaptability, yeah. You become flexible, resilient, and really capable of flowing with the changes in society rather than being broken by them.
It is literally flipping the script from a victim mentality to a creator mentality.
It really is.
But here's where we need to slow down a second. Because to truly understand how we get from this toxic, ancient rut to that visionary peak, we have to look at the physical geometry of the A-Spire itself.
Yeah, the structure is key.
Right. The author doesn't just use words, they use shapes. And I'll admit, visualizing a 3D geometric philosophy in an audio format is, well, it's tough.
It is challenging, but the spatial orientation here is vital to the entire concept.
So we have to discard the idea of a flat pyramid drawn on a whiteboard.
Completely. We're building a three-dimensional vertical structure. It is a stack of 4 distinct, multifaceted diamonds.
Okay, let's build it together for the listener. Imagine taking 2 spinning pops, kind you played with as a kid, wide in the middle and coming to a sharp point at the ends.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
Take the first top and place it on the table, pointing down. That is our base, the gray diamond.
Correct. The gray diamond's apex points downward.
Down into the table.
Right. This represents our deep, dense rooting in physical three-dimensional reality.
It's heavy.
Very heavy with the gravity of daily survival. It points toward the literal earth we are standing on. It anchors the whole structure in the material world.
Okay, now take the second spinning top, flip it upside down so the point is facing the ceiling, and balance its flat bottom right on top of the first top.
So they meet in the middle.
Yes, this is the red diamond. It is stacked on the gray, but it is pointing up.
And the text refers to this red diamond as the heart center, or the point of becoming.
Because it's reaching up.
Exactly. Because it points upward, it physically represents humanity actively reaching out of the survival trap.
Okay.
It is our collective aspiration. We are rooted in the gray, but through the red, we are reaching for mutual aid and higher consciousness.
I love that. Now we need a third top. We stack it on top of the red one, but this one, the green diamond, is pointing down.
Down, yes.
Its bottom point touches the top point of the red diamond. Now, I have to push back here.
Okay, let's hear it.
If we are trying to ascend, right, why on earth is the green diamond pointing back down at us?
It's a great point, and this raises an important question. It's a crucial geometric and philosophical shift in the text.
Okay.
The green diamond pointing down represents the divine, or the universal higher frequencies, reaching down to meet humanity's upward grasp.
Oh, like the Sistine Chapel ceiling.
Yes!
Adam is reaching up from the earth, and God is reaching down from the heavens, and their fingers are about to touch in the middle.
That is the exact dynamic the author is getting at. The green diamond acts as a bridge. That central point where the upward-pointing red diamond meets the downward-pointing green diamond is the nexus point.
The contact point.
Right. It is where the physical, aspiring human experience meets the descending energy of the universe.
Okay, I see it now. And finally, we take a fourth top, the blue diamond, and balance it on the green. This one points up, reaching infinitely into pure consciousness and universal laws.
So the whole stack is complete.
Right, so the pattern is down, up, down, up. Gray, red, green, blue. But why diamonds? Why not just build a pyramid like literally every other societal model in human history?
Because the author makes a very specific structural critique of traditional hierarchies here.
Right, they hate the pyramid.
They do.
Mm.
Triangulation, the classic pyramid scheme of society, is inherently flawed because it narrows power and resources to a single tiny point at the top.
Leaving a massive, heavy base at the bottom to support it all.
Right. A structure literally designed to crush the bottom to elevate the top.
It's brutal.
It is. It keeps everyone at the bottom distracted, fighting each other just to survive the intense pressure of the triangle. Wars, artificial inflation, systemic poverty.
Theories.
Exactly. Those are all load-bearing mechanisms of the pyramid. But the A-Spire operates on a completely different physical logic.
Because it's a diamond.
Right. A diamond doesn't have a heavy flat bottom. Its center of gravity is right in its middle. It operates on cycles of 4. 4 points to a diamond, 4 diamonds in the spire. The author parallels this to natural sustaining systems. You know, the 4 elements of earth, wind, water, fire. The 4 seasons.
It's natural.
Yeah, it is about a cyclical, sustainable flow of energy, not a one-way extraction of power.
You know, here's where it gets really interesting for me. Listening to you describe this down-up diamond structure, it's functionally a radio antenna.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it.
Think about the mechanics. The gray and red diamonds are the grounded base, the fizzle machinery trying to tune into a station.
Right.
And the green and blue diamonds are the actual broadcast coming down from the atmosphere. They literally have to meet in the middle at that heart center to get a clear signal and close the circuit.
That is a highly functional analogy,
Yeah.
and it perfectly sets up our exploration of the green diamond.
Because the green diamond is the broadcast.
Exactly. If the green diamond is that broadcast coming down, what exactly is the frequency it's transmitting?
What's the station playing?
Right. And the author dedicates this entire level to the 8 principles of Dr. Wayne Dyer's book, Manifest Your Destiny.
The A-plane.
Yes.
This is where the deep dive gets profoundly personal, I think. We are moving from sweeping societal structures into the actual mechanics of individual manifestation. Like, how does a person tune their internal antenna?
How do you actually do it?
Let's dig into these 8 principles. So principle 1 is awareness of my higher self, and principle 2 is trusting yourself.
So principle 1 directly challenges the Malthusian Darwinian view of humanity that the gray diamond relies on.
The survival of the fittest stuff.
Exactly. The gray diamond tells you that you are just a highly evolved meat suit fighting for scraps in a finite world.
Bleak.
Very. But the text explains the triad of body, mind, and spirit. Yes, we are physical beings in a material world. We have to eat, sleep, pay our mortgages.
We can't ignore the 3D world.
Right. But we simultaneously possess a non-physical capacity,
Mm.
a higher self that is capable of attracting what we desire through frequency rather than just physical force.
I follow the logic, but that is a massive paradigm shift in identity.
It is huge.
Because if you accept that you have a higher self, the immediate roadblock is actually trusting it. Which brings us to principle 2. The text frames this as a brutal battle between the heart and the mind.
And society drills mistrust of the self into us from birth. The mind constantly demands scientific proof.
It wants the data.
Right. It wants spreadsheets, historical data, and absolute guarantees before it takes a single step.
But the heart doesn't work like that.
No. The heart relies on intuitive wisdom. The text points out that we are conditioned to trust external authorities, politicians, economists, algorithms, far more than our own internal compass.
So true.
So trusting yourself is an act of total rebellion against the gray diamond's anxiety. It requires prioritizing the intuitive knowing of your heart over the anxious, scarcity-driven calculations of your mind.
Which is incredibly hard to do when the world is just screaming at you to panic.
It takes practice.
But if you manage it, you arrive at principle 3, which is honestly the conceptual anchor of this entire philosophy.
The environt organism.
The concept of the environt organism,
Yeah.
yes.
This is a massive shift in how we view our place in the physical world. The source asserts that we are not organisms living in an environment.
Right, the word in is the problem there.
Exactly. The word in implies separation. It implies you are an alien walking across a stage separate from the floorboards.
You're just a visitor.
Yeah. But the text argues that we are environt organisms. There is no separation.
The text uses a great analogy here. You cannot separate the peak of a wave from its trough.
It's impossible.
Right. If you somehow magically remove the trough, the peak ceases to exist. Together, they form the wave. In that exact same way, a human cannot be separated from nature or their surroundings. You are the environment.
We define ourselves by our environment constantly. The author notes that when they are with their son, their identity is father. When at work, their identity is curriculum writer.
The environment dictates the organism.
Yes. The environment dictates the expression of the organism. You are a vital piece in the expression of the divine on earth, doing for humanity what a single tree does for a forest.
Okay, I have to play the skeptic here for a second.
Please do.
I can feel that interconnectedness when I'm hiking in the mountains or sitting by the ocean. It's easy to feel like an environment organism in a forest.
Sure, it's peaceful.
But how do you actually internalize that when you're stuck in bumper-to-bumper traffic in a concrete jungle? Like, you are late for work, you are breathing in exhaust fumes, someone is honking at you. How am I an environment organism in a Ford Focus on the interstate?
That is the ultimate test of the theory.
Right.
But the reality is that the concrete jungle is the current environment. Being an environment organism doesn't mean pretending you were in a tranquil forest when you were on a congested highway.
So what does it mean?
It means recognizing that you cannot separate yourself from the traffic because in that moment, you are the traffic.
Wow. You are the traffic.
Exactly. You are part of it. The traffic jam is part of the 3D reality, but your reaction to it is dictated by your internal state.
Okay.
So do you default to gray diamond anxiety, gripping the steering wheel, furious at the cars around you, creating accusations?
Which is what most of us do.
Right. Or do you maintain a green diamond awareness? Finding harmony starts with your internal frequency, not a change of physical scenery.
That's powerful.
The moment you stop fighting the environment and realize you are part of its energetic makeup, you stop leaking energy. You regain your sovereignty, even in the middle of a gridlock.
That takes the blame away entirely. It forces you to take responsibility for the energy you are bringing into the space.
Yes, exactly.
And that energy is critical for principle 4, the energy of attraction.
This principle explains the actual mechanics of how things move from the world of the formless to the world of the formed.
And the text uses the example of an architect here.
It does.
Because an architect has a picture, a complete design of a skyscraper in their head. That building exists purely in the realm of imagination. It is completely formless.
But it's real in their mind.
Right. And through energy, focus, drafting, and eventually physical labor, that formless thought is drawn down into a physical, concrete building.
And the author argues that this creative energy is not restricted to architecture.
No.
The entire physical world of form originates in something other than form itself. Imagination is the key to bringing thoughts into physical reality.
Which feels like magic, but they ground it in science.
They do, and the text quotes Einstein here. Imagination is more important than knowledge.
Oh, that's a great quote.
Because knowledge is just the memory of the gray diamond. It's looking backwards.
Oh, that's good.
But imagination is the frequency of the green diamond. It's pulling from the future. By raising your vibration, you tap into the same universal power that collapses wave functions into particles.
Quantum physics.
Exactly. You literally attract the physical reality that matches your imagined frequency.
But, okay, what happens when you build that architectural blueprint in your mind? You generate the energy and the building still collapses.
Right. Why doesn't it always work?
Yeah. Where does the formula break down? Because I know plenty of people who visualize success all day and still struggle to pay rent.
That is exactly what Principle 5 addresses. Honor your worthiness to receive.
Ah.
This is where the formula breaks down for most people. If you do not subconsciously believe you are truly worthy of the abundance you are imagining, you will sabotage the attraction.
But why do we do that? Why would we sabotage what we consciously want?
Because of the cellular memory of the gray diamond.
We're conditioned.
We are deeply conditioned. The text links this back to the assessment phase of the lower hierarchical levels of society.
Explain that.
Well, society assesses us constantly. From the time you are graded in elementary school to your annual performance review at work, society drills unworthiness into you by exclusively highlighting your flaws.
You get a report card full of A's and one C, and everyone focuses on the C.
Exactly. You are taught to be humble, to stay in your lane, to not ask for too much.
We are conditioned to believe that suffering is somehow noble and abundance is just greedy.
Yes. And true abundance requires completely shedding this manufactured guilt.
It's a huge mental block to clear.
It is. The text heavily alludes to Marianne Williamson's famous concept here. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate, but that we are powerful beyond measure.
Right.
Playing small, staying in suffering, and bonding with others over your shared wounds, it keeps you trapped in a negative frequency. You must recognize your inherent unconditional worthiness to receive.
And the mechanism for receiving that, the absolute core of this green diamond, is Principle 6, unconditional love.
Yes.
Now, we need to define our terms here because the text makes a very specific clarification about what love means in this context.
Absolutely. This is not romantic love.
Right, we're not talking about Hallmark movies.
No. This isn't about affection or butterflies in your stomach. In this geometric model, love is an alchemy. It is the actual vibrational glue that holds the red and green diamonds together.
It's the connective tissue at the heart center.
Exactly.
The human aspiration reaching up, the divine reaching down, and love is the super glue in the middle that holds the entire circuit together.
That's a great visual. It is the frequency that allows thought forms to pass into physical expression without distortion.
So what does that actually look like in practice?
It means maintaining harmony with yourself and your environment. It's keeping your thoughts anchored in peace and non-judgment so that your manifestations can unfold naturally without the friction of your own anxiety getting in the way.
But how do we maintain that frequency? We live in a world designed to constantly distract and agitate us.
That brings us to Principle 7.
And this is where the text makes a fascinating, highly technical claim. Meditate to the sound of creation.
Sound is huge here.
The author states that sound physically molds abstract thought. Wait, back up. How does the sound wave, which is just vibrating air molecules, physically mold a thought, which is a neurological or spiritual impulse? Give me the mechanics of that.
It comes down to the science of resonance and brainwave entrainment.
Okay, lay it on me.
In the gray diamond, we are constantly bombarded by discordant man-made noise, sirens, notifications, heavy machinery, the hum of fluorescent lights.
Just constant chaos.
Right. This chaotic noise keeps our brains locked in high beta wave states, which are associated with stress, anxiety, and fragmented thinking.
So we literally can't focus.
You physically cannot hold a coherent thought of abundance when your nervous system is vibrating with the chaotic noise of survival.
So the noise is actually keeping us trapped in the lower diamond.
Literally holding us down. The text points to the concept that in the beginning God said, sound is a vibration oscillating at a particular frequency.
Right.
When you turn off the man-made noise and listen to the natural sound of creation, the wind, the rhythm of your own breath, the frequencies of the earth, you induce alpha and theta brainwave states.
Palmer states.
Yes. This coherence between your heart rate and your brainwaves physically alters your neural pathways. It creates a smooth, resonant field where abstract, imaginative thoughts can form clearly without being shattered by the stress responses of the body.
Wow.
You have to quiet the cacophony of the gray diamond to even hear the broadcast of the green diamond.
And once you tune in to that clear broadcast, you arrive at the final Wayne Dyer concept, Principle 8, patiently detached from the outcome.
This is where the ego goes to die.
Oh, totally.
Manifesting is not handing a demanding shopping list to the universe. You are part of an infinite ocean of possibilities. But we, as physical humans, are deeply constrained by our perception of 3D time.
The Amazon Prime spirituality problem.
Exactly.
We do our meditation, we visualize the outcome, and we expect it to be delivered to our front porch in 2 business days.
Or less. But the author explicitly warns against the trap of putting God on a timetable. Time is a physical constraint of the lower diamonds.
Time isn't real up there.
Right. True manifestation requires infinite patience because you are cooperating with a divine intelligence that sees a much larger interconnected picture than your immediate narrow desires.
And if you start stressing about it,
If you get anxious because it hasn't happened yet, you immediately drop back into the gray diamond frequency of anxiety and avoidance.
it's a trap. Okay, so we have these 8 principles, the A-plane, and the text notes that the actual lines connecting these principles, like the lines drawing the shape of the green diamond itself, are made of 2 things, gratitude and generosity.
The framework of the diamond.
Yes. But I want to focus on gratitude because the text makes a vital distinction here that honestly completely changed how I view the word.
It's a beautiful distinction. Gratitude in this model is not just saying thank you when someone holds the door for you or just being polite.
Right.
Gratitude is defined as the absence of feeling separate.
The absence of feeling separate, that is profound.
It is the ultimate realization of the environment organism we discussed earlier.
You can't be separate from the wave.
Exactly. True gratitude is an expression of unconditional love that recognizes you are inextricably linked to the entirety of the universe's energy.
So when you feel true gratitude,
You aren't just thankful for a physical thing. You are acknowledging your connection to the source of that thing. You send loving energy to the whole grid.
I love that.
Judgment separates us. Gratitude connects us.
So if we look back at our starting point, in the gray diamond, we are bound by accountability, like paying off a terrible, crushing debt for mistakes our ancestors made.
Very heavy.
But in the green diamond, we reach abundance, like planting a single seed that yields an orchard year after year. It's shifting from a completely transactional life to a regenerative one.
That is a perfect summary of the transition. And once you have mastered that regenerative frequency,
Yeah.
once you can actually hold that green diamond state, you're ready to ascend to the absolute apex of the A-Spire,
The blue diamond.
the very top.
This is where we leave the atmosphere entirely. And what I love is that the primary influence for this final, ultimate stage isn't a monk or a spiritual guru. It's a scientist, an inventor, Nikola Tesla.
It is a brilliant synthesis by the author because they pull from hard science to explain the mystical.
Right.
The text quotes Tesla directly. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration.
Such a famous quote. And to this triad, the author adds a 4th element to complete the 4 points of the blue diamond, consciousness.
Because without consciousness to observe, direct, and experience it, energy, frequency, and vibration are just chaotic noise in the void.
They need a director.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Consciousness is the ultimate heightened level of awareness that organizes the universe.
Okay, this is the part we really need to take our time with. The text calls this the ultimate terminology upgrade.
This is where the whole model comes together.
Right. We're going to trace the complete evolution of the 4 societal spheres. We're going to take a 3D physical concept rooted in the mud of the gray diamond and watch it mathematically ascend all the way to a universal law in the blue diamond.
Step by step.
Let's take it point by point, vertically up the spire, starting with the top point. Down in the gray diamond, this sphere was politics. It was about power, control, and anxiety.
And as humanity moved up to the red diamond, politics evolved into vision.
Okay, so it got a little better.
Right. It stopped being about who controls the resources and started being a shared aspirational ideal for the future of the community.
Then, as it passed through the nexus into the green diamond, vision evolved into awareness. It became the ability to observe the world without fear. But what happens when awareness reaches the absolute apex of the blue diamond?
Awareness reaches its highest state. Consciousness. Pure, unadulterated knowing.
So what does that even look like for a society?
Well, if we ask what a society governed by consciousness looks like, it is no longer political in any recognizable sense.
No elections.
It isn't politicians arguing in a chamber, no. It is a collective of decentralized, sovereign individuals operating with such a high degree of mutual understanding that rigid laws become unnecessary.
Because everyone just gets it.
Exactly. It is governance through profound interconnectedness.
Okay, let's look at the right point. Down in the gray diamond, this was economics. It was driven by scarcity, avoidance, and the hoarding of money.
In the red diamond, economics evolved into exchange. The realization that fair trade of value and time benefits both parties more than hoarding.
And then in the green diamond, exchange evolved into anticipation, joyfully planning for positive outcomes and investing in the community. And when anticipation hits the blue diamond,
It becomes pure energy. This requires a massive shift in perspective. Money is ultimately just a physical token representing stored human energy.
That's all it is.
Right. In the blue diamond, you stop seeing currency as paper or digital numbers to be trapped in a vault. You recognize it purely as an energetic current.
Like an electric current.
Exactly. When you hoard it, you cause stagnation in the grid. When you flow it through generosity, creation, and purposeful exchange, you actually power the entire universe's abundance.
Wow. Now the bottom point. In the gray diamond, this was the physical environment, defined by accusation, environmental degradation, and fighting over boundary lines.
In the red diamond, the physical environment evolved into context.
Meaning?
It became simply the setting of our human experience, the stage we play on.
Okay. In the green diamond, context evolved into abundance. The realization that nature provides an infinite supply, if managed with respect. And at the apex of the blue diamond,
Abundance culminates in vibration.
vibration.
This is where physics and mysticism meet. Quantum mechanics tells us that physical matter is mostly empty space.
Right, atoms are mostly empty.
The physical environment, the trees, the oceans, the concrete jungle, is not solid. It is literally just vibrating energy fields.
Mind-bending.
When you understand the environment as vibration, you realize you can harmonize with it rather than trying to conquer or pave over it.
Beautiful. Finally, the left point. In the gray diamond, this was the social milieu, defined by apathy and societal collapse.
In the red diamond, social evolved into evolution,
Getting better together.
the collective drive to improve, innovate, and grow together.
In the green diamond, evolution evolved into adaptability, flowing seamlessly with change rather than breaking under pressure. And in the blue diamond,
Adaptability peaks as frequency. This is the rate at which all things vibrate. Your social interactions are no longer about status or tribalism. They're about energetic resonance.
like being on the same wavelength.
Literally.
Yeah.
You naturally align with people, ideas, and communities that operate on a harmonious frequency, and discord naturally falls away without the need for conflict.
Consciousness, energy, vibration, frequency. When you finally reach this state and look down, like the top-down view of the Aspire, what does this structure actually look like?
The author describes a breathtaking visual. From the top down, the hierarchy disappears entirely.
So no more pyramid.
You don't see a pyramid. You see a perfect, symmetrical, geometric constellation of intersecting diamonds.
Wow.
All of them are spinning and orbiting around that central heart center, the red diamond point of becoming. It looks like a massive dynamic mandala of human potential rather than a ladder to climb.
But this leads to my final pushback. And I think this is the most critical grounding question of the entire deep dive.
Lay it on me.
This all sounds incredibly ethereal. It sounds like achieving nirvana, honestly.
It does.
If I actually manage to achieve this blue level of consciousness, energy, frequency, and vibration, do I just float away?
Right, you ascend into the clouds.
Yeah. Do I detach from the physical world? Do I stop caring about the 3D gray world where people are still genuinely struggling to pay rent, afford groceries, and survive?
It's the most important question to ask, and it is where the text is remarkably grounded.
Okay, good.
The goal of the Diamond A-Spire is emphatically not escapism. It is not about abandoning the physical world to live in a cave somewhere.
You can't just check out.
Right. As the text explicitly states, even when you reach the blue diamond consciousness, we are still in a 3D world doing 3D things.
We are still making coffee in the morning. We are still driving our kids to school. We are still mowing lawns.
Exactly.
We still have to do the laundry.
Yeah, absolutely still have to do laundry. But the fundamental difference is how and why you are doing it.
Okay.
You do these mundane things no longer as a stressed out slave to a 4,000-year-old system of anxiety and debt. You do them as a sovereign diamond.
You change the frequency of the task.
Exactly. You are moving in a synchronized murmuration. The text uses that beautiful image of a flock of starlings swooping in the sky, thousands of birds moving as one massive fluid organism without ever colliding.
The environ organism in action.
Yes. You are serving the collective by holding a higher frequency. You bring the blue diamond consciousness into the act of making coffee. You bring the green diamond unconditional love into the frustrating traffic jam.
So you don't escape reality, you transform it from the inside out.
You become the broadcast.
You become the green diamond reaching down.
Exactly. You become the broadcast for everyone still stuck in the gray.
What an incredible journey. We have literally mapped the ascent of the human experience today. We started deep in the heavy, anxious, accusation-driven mud of the gray diamond.
We really did.
We climbed through the heart-centered, visionary space of the red diamond. We unlocked the abundant environ organism awareness of the green diamond. And finally, we touched the universal scientific truths of energy, frequency, and vibration in the blue diamond.
It's quite a map.
We replaced a flat, restrictive paper map with a living, breathing constellation.
It is a profound model for a completely different way of existing on this planet.
Which leaves you with one last thing to ponder. If this structure is truly an interconnected constellation, and you are an environ organism inextricably linked to the whole, what happens to the entire architecture of human reality the exact moment you individually decide to change your frequency from fear to unconditional love?
That's the real question.
Does your single sovereign vibration have the power to force the whole grid to tune into a new station? Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the map, keep learning the terrain, and keep aspiring.